This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Sunset Safari here at SafariLive on the western fringes of the Great Kruger National Park. We're also coming to you live, of course, from the Masai Mara up in Kenya, the Mara Triangle, to be more specific. My name is James Henry, and it is marvellous to be with you once again in the hot seat. In the slightly cooler seat behind the camera, we have got Three Fingers Mkhize. He has returned from KwaZulu-Natal and various other parts of the country. He is sporting a magnificent pair of socks with the Australian flag on them, which is odd, given that I don't think he has any affiliation at all with Australia, but that is the way of his socks. Please talk to us using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Otherwise, of course, you can use the chat stream on YouTube. It'll be wonderful to hear from you. What we have over here are some wildebeest. Of course, are not very, very common here. I have just forgotten something. I can't believe what I've just forgotten. I have just forgotten that we have got a very special school drive at the moment, and so it is very important that I welcome the kids from Allenton Elementary, Glenwood Elementary, and you're all learning about science, animals and habitats, which is quite impressive for a group of 4 to 6-year-olds. Well done. I think if it's all the same to you, we'll just talk about whatever we can, given that, well, you're not very old and probably not that specialised just yet, and I just quite like to talk about all the interesting things that are out here. So, my apologies for not introducing you a little bit earlier. These are, of course, the blue wildebeest, otherwise known as the blue gnu. And if you really want your teacher to run out of the classroom with her or his hand in his or her head in his or her hands, then do the following. Are you ready? Go like this. Go bow, 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 because that is the sound that a gnu makes. So all together now, and let's see if you can do it loud enough for your teacher to run out of the classroom. Are you ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Bow, 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 bow. Has she left? Okay, let's carry on. Please ask as many questions as you would like to. All you need to do is go and fetch your teacher back from outside the classroom and say you won't make any bow, bow noises anymore, and then she can take any of your questions and send them through to me, and I'll do my best to answer them. CJ, you want to know when animals sleep? Well, it really depends on the animal, CJ. Some animals are like us, and they like to sleep at night, and some animals are not like us, and they like to be awake at night and sleep during the day. These animals, well, they do a bit of both, but largely they sleep in the night time. But, unlike you, they don't live in a secure house, you see, where there's possibly a security service that will come and look after you if anybody should try and intrude. They don't sleep in the shelter or behind locked doors, which means that they could be attacked at any stage by predators. And that means that they don't sleep soundly like you and I do. So they doze a little bit in the middle of the day, but someone in this group will always be awake. And that's because they have to look out for lions, which is quite nice. Now, we have got a wonderful, wonderful treat for you up in the Masai Mara, which is a long, long way from here, some 1,600 miles, where Isaac is with some exciting animals. Sorry about that, everybody. Seems to be a small problem with the Masai Mara, but we'll get them back online very soon. There you have got a baby wildebeest, and that, I think, is a slightly late birth. I would have said that that one is probably, well, maybe not. He's just a slightly different colour from some of the others. Yeah, maybe he's a few weeks younger than some of the others. So if you look to the right-hand side there, Mr. Mkhize, if you wouldn't mind, or the left, same age, doesn't matter. That little one there is probably a little bit older, at about 2 months old. And I would say that the one we started looking at, in fact, there must be almost 3 months now, the one we started looking at is just a little bit younger, and possibly doesn't look quite as healthy. You can see he's looking a bit brown and a bit sparse. His hair isn't very grey, or seems to be a bit thin in places. Jess, a wildebeest horns are, well, it's difficult to say how long they are because, of course, they curve. And I know you guys are doing science and life sciences, but I'm not sure that your science is extended to complex geometrical figures just yet. Anyway, but if you took a piece of string and you strung it from the middle of the head round, along, or following the line of the wildebeest horn, I think you'd probably find that if you then stretch that horn out, it would be around about 2 feet long on a very big wildebeest and 1.5 feet on a smaller wildebeest. So not very long. And they're used for defense. They do use them for defense, and the bulls sometimes use them to fight with each other. But they're largely used for defense. They're very peaceful at the moment. And you know, it's a bit windy, and that's because there's a storm brewing. We're hoping to finally get some rain. It's been another dry year, and so that's why they've come up onto this open area where they can hopefully stay out of the clutches of what Stivovo is about to show you.
Good afternoon, boys and girls. Welcome to my vehicle, and hello to a big male lion. My name is Steve. I'm joined on camera by Davisito, and well, we are here by a small little pan, a little watering hole, and this is where they left a big male lion this morning. He's not going to do too much in the day when it's hot, and there is definitely some clouds in the sky. It's nice and windy. It's much cooler than it was earlier today. But lions during the daytime really don't do anything except sleep. And he is a decent size male. He can weigh almost 500 pounds. You see, he's got a bit of an injury on the top of his head. Do you see that? He's got a bit of a wound there. The flies are annoying him. And the life of a male lion is not an easy one. They are fighting all the time with other males, and they often have very big scratches and scars on their body and face. And this guy was found this morning close to our camp, and my other colleague Trishala followed him here, and he hasn't moved a muscle since then. But he's looking rather skinny. You can see his belly is empty. There we go. Look, it's empty there. But he will eat when he gets a chance. Vinda, you want to know how lions run fast? Well, they're very powerful animals. They've got very, very powerful legs and very powerful feet, and lots of muscles in their back, which allows them to run very, very fast, but only over a short distance. I mean, the charging speed of a lion is about 22 feet per second. Now, can you imagine that? That is very, very fast. So a lion charging probably about 45 odd miles an hour. That is crazy. And at 500 pounds, it's like being hit by a car if it happened to run and hit something. But that is what they do. Lions are big, powerful animals that try and sneak up very close to animals like the wildebeest that you see there with James. And, well, lions eat meat, as I'm sure you all know. And wildebeest and buffalo are some of the prey that lions absolutely love. But the wildebeest are quite big. The buffalo are much bigger. So to be able to catch them, you need to be quick enough to catch them, and then also strong enough and powerful enough with those big feet to sink his claws in and then to pull them onto the ground. And so that is where the speed and strength in the males come. But the males are much bigger than the ladies, much, much bigger. And they don't fight as much as the males do. The males fight for ladies and the ladies fight for area. But anyway, up in the Masai Mara, there are plenty of lions up there, and at the moment they're generally focusing on buffalo.
Yes, here I have a big family of elephants. I haven't counted them, maybe you should, and they look like they're heading somewhere. I don't know exactly. Maybe they are looking for a drink because there's enough food, so definitely they are not looking for food. With elephants, they know where to get different types of food, and I think the oldest female here is taking them somewhere where they can eat something different. That's why they are in a hurry. Kids, remember to ask me as many questions as possible about elephants. It is the world's largest land mammal, and we have very, very many here in the Masai Mara. You see the the birds that are flying there. They are called cattle egrets, and they are eating little insects that are being disturbed by the elephants while they walk. So they're taking advantage of the elephants. You see, they look like they're walking very slowly, but they are, they have one very big stride. One of their stride is about 5 hours. London, you asked me why elephants are so big. Very interesting question. I think they were created that way, and they were created to be the biggest of them all, and that's why they are the biggest. I don't think I have a better answer to give you. They are supposedly, supposed to be the largest mammal. They weigh about 4 or 5 cars. I don't know what type of car you have, or the ones you see the most, but they're the size of 5 cars. And they roam in these beautiful plains called the Masai Mara. And that herd you see over there right now, they're headed somewhere. Looks like they're going for water. We've lost them. Oh, there they are, you see. Or maybe they didn't like me, so they're going much farther away. You see, they like living in these kind of areas where there's plenty of grass and bushes. Genevieve, you asked me what they use the tusks for. Very good question again. They use the tusks for defending themselves. And secondly, they use for debarking trees. They are those trees that are highly nutritious. They have certain vitamins that they need. They use them to debark the trees. And also, they get the minerals from the soil. There are certain soils that have got minerals. So they use the tusks to dig the soil off the ground because they cannot, bite the soil. So they use the tusks to dig the soil. And those are the 3 most important things that they use the tusks. Yes, looks like it's a very beautiful family. They're all very happy in a family like this. Usually they have the oldest female, the granny, who leads everybody else. So here they must be related. It's the oldest female. Over here it's the oldest female, and the rest are her daughters. Let me take you to Steve, who's got a beautiful lion.
What?
My water.
Ah.
I took a 5 litre, I don't know where I put it. It's a classic one, that one.
It is. Welcome back, boys and girls. We are still with our male lion. he has not done anything since you were last here. He's just flicked at his face a few times because the flies, as I said, there we go, look at that beautiful neck. And you see all the fur on the head, around the throat and on the neck. That is how we easily identify males versus females. Obviously, I said the males are much bigger than females. So when they're younger, that's normally what you look for. But as they get older, that fur on the neck and around the head called the mane starts to grow and starts to develop. And there's a couple of reasons for the mane. Number one is when a male lion fights with another male, the mane actually works as sort of a padding or protection around the neck and face, so that if the other male does hit him there with their claws or bite him there, there's protection against the teeth or the claws of the other male going into its neck. The second reason is as lions get bigger and older, their mane gets bigger and thicker and sometimes even darker. So when another male sees one, and maybe he's a young male with a small mane, and he sees another male with a big, dark, black mane, he thinks very quickly, this guy's much bigger than me, I'm going to run away. Because there's no point fighting against the biggest animal around if it's going to kill you. So better to run away and to fight another day. So a big mane on a lion can quite often prevent other males from even wanting to try and fight. Because ideally in the world, you can't just fight with everybody. Otherwise, you're going to die. Grayson, you want to know if lions attack hyenas? Well, they most certainly do. And male lions, well, they will whenever they possibly can. If they can catch a hyena, they will kill it. So it's part of that thing. Lions and hyenas are the eternal enemies in the African plains, and they both eat meat, and they'll both kill each other's cubs if they can. They'll both kill each other if they can get themselves on their own. But male lions have a particular dislike for hyena, and not long ago, with our hyena clan here on Djuma, I think James is on his way there, the queen of that clan, the matriarch, was actually attacked by one of these males. I think it might have actually even been this one. I'm not sure. This is the very blonde male, and he attacked her, but she managed to survive, which is unbelievable because he is so much bigger than she is. I mean, she probably only weighs about 120, maybe 130 pounds, maybe a little bit more than that, whereas he, well, as I said, he weighs somewhere around 500 pounds. So can you imagine if you were in a boxing ring against someone that size? There's absolutely no chance if you're a third of his weight of competing. It's just unfair, isn't it? Hello, Gabriel. You want to know why some animals eat different animals as their food? Well, out in the system and out over the world, all over the place, you get soil. And in the soil, there's lots of nutrients. And from the soil grows grasses and trees. And so you get lots and lots of animals, such as a zebra and wildebeest and even elephant that will eat the grass and the leaves and the twigs and the trees. And so they are called the herbivores. And then you get the predators. And the predators, well, they like to catch the herbivores. So that's kind of how the cycle works. You get the producers, which is the grass and the trees. You get the primary consumers, which is the first level of animals that eat the grass and eat the leaves. And then you get the predators. And the predators are stacked in a different sort of range. You get the lions and hyenas that are right on the top. And then you get sort of cheetah and wild dog and leopard that are below them. But then, of course, you also get the decomposers and scavengers. The scavengers, such as vultures, lions are also very good scavengers. And the bones and all of the meat and all of the rotten stuff goes back into the soil. The same as all of the animal dung and all of the urine. It all gets cycled back into the soil. And then the soil gets those nutrients, which then go back into the plants. And the cycle all continues. It's a process that happens ecosystems all over the world. In North America, and it used to be in Europe, there were wolves, and wolves are very important in the ecosystem. Without the wolves, you will get an explosion of animals that will feed on the vegetation to a point where the vegetation will drop down and you'll get environmental catastrophe. So it's all about balance. It's all about balance. The predators need to be balanced with the herbivores, balanced with the plants. Otherwise, you get this very, very strange system happening. But anyway, talking about the large herbivores, Isaac is still with his elephants all the way up in Kenya in the Mara Triangle. Welcome back. I do apologize. We do get technical difficulties with our vehicles. All sorts of things are in play to allow us to take these footage or these shots of animals and to broadcast them into the sky and all the way to your computer and TV screens. And unfortunately, Isaac seems to be having a few difficulties with his sound today. But that's okay, because we are still here with our male lion and very keen to answer any more questions you might have about lions. We're not going to stay for too much longer because, well, as you can see, he's not doing anything. And we'll go off and find something else. And while we do that, we'll come back later when it starts getting cooler to see if he's going to get up and maybe he will do something exciting. Cameron, you want to know what is a lion's predator? Well, a big male lion like this really doesn't worry about anything at all. He's actually got two brothers that are around somewhere, and we had some tracks of one this morning. So the three of them together, they've got no worry in the world except for other male lions. Nothing will sneak up on a male lion and try to give it a hard time. Maybe an elephant or a rhino, if it sees the lion sitting close to the water or in its way, it might chase it. But really, there's no real danger to the lion because they're very fast. They might move off. But lions can sleep flat like that because really nothing's going to sneak up on them. But the biggest danger that you see in Africa to lions is actually humans. Because lions feed on meat, humans all over Africa have cattle and sheep and goats. And, well, they are much easier to catch than a wildebeest or a buffalo. And so, unfortunately, across Africa, outside of national parks, lions and other predators are regarded as pests because they will catch people's goats and sheep and cows, and that causes a lot of conflict with people. So national reserves throughout Africa are very, very important. Many of them have got fences. Up in the Mara, there are no fences, so there has to be a lot of sort of communication with the community so that their lions don't catch their cattle. But it has been something that's gone on for thousands of years, humans living on the landscape. At nighttime, the lion is the superior predator, and we have got no chance against them at night. But in the daytime, they're actually quite scared of us. If they found us on foot, if we were walking and we saw this male, there's probably a good chance that he would run away. But in the nighttime, well, it's a different story altogether because they can see in the pitch black. Well, we're going to go over to James, who's just around the corner, and I think he's also found some elephant.
And what we've found is what Isaac had, which is, of course, some elephants. And there are just two of them here. Two beautiful little elephants. Probably two young bulls, two young boy elephants that don't really want to spend any time at home anymore. They've had enough of being in a big family, and they want to be all alone and go and explore the world. Sounds like quite a fun thing to do, don't you think? Especially when you don't have to pay for your own food. You can just find it anywhere you walk. And that's what they're doing. Now, they've stopped at what we call a pan. And a pan is an area where water gathers naturally, and that's because the soil underneath there is very clay rich. You don't have to remember that. All you have to remember is that it holds water, and because it holds water, as you can see there, the vegetation, or the grass, in this case sedges actually, mainly, is very green, and that's very delicious for elephants. They like green vegetation to eat. They don't like to eat brown vegetation any more than you like to eat green vegetation, I imagine. Most of you don't like eating vegetables, I'm sure. I certainly didn't when I was your age. But that's why I'm short. So you must eat all of your vegetables, everybody, otherwise you'll grow up short like me. Moody, the strongest animal on safari is me. I am the strongest animal in the entire Kruger National Park. It depends very much on the animal. I'm joking, Moody. I'm not really that strong at all. It depends very much on whether you mean the strongest animal that could lift the most, or the strongest animal in comparison with its body mass. Now, I know that's quite difficult for you to understand, but those elephants, for example, are what we call the absolute strongest, so they would definitely be the strongest animals out here. But if you were to ask them to lift something their own weight, so an elephant like that probably weighs round about 3,000 kilograms, so 6,600 pounds or so, there's no ways an elephant like that could pick that much up. But if you took a tiny little ant and you asked it to lift 1,000 times its own mass, it would probably be able to do that. Isn't that amazing? So probably an ant, you could say, is the strongest animal that we have out here. All right, we're going to reverse out of here. Our elephants have disappeared, and we're going to see if we can find some hyenas just close by. There's a little waterhole next to this one where we've been seeing hyenas recently, and I'm wondering if we're going to be lucky now. It would be very special, because there's actually a little hyena home around here where there are little babies. I don't think the baby's going to come out till much later, though, by which time you will probably be in some other class, I'm afraid. Maybe art, or I'm not sure what else you do at age 4 to 6. Lace tying class, perhaps. Maybe you'll just be playing, which will be much better still. Addison, you want to know if there are houses in Africa? No, Addison, we all live in caves. We live in caves, and sometimes people live in stick houses, which, of course, as you know from the Three Little Pigs, is very dangerous because wolves can blow them over. I'm joking, Addison. Yes, we have houses here. We have some very big houses, in fact, in Africa. Some parts of Johannesburg, we have big cities too. You know, Johannesburg is the capital, well, it's not the capital, it's the biggest city in South Africa, and it's probably almost the size of, I'm trying to think of an American city the same size, maybe the size of Atlanta. It's definitely bigger than Washington, D.C., so it's a huge city, and there are lots of cities like that all over Africa. Remember, Africa is much bigger than the United States, about 3 times the size of the United States. So although a lot of Africa is wilderness, we do have huge cities. This is where the hyenas live. This is their house. It's called a termite mound, and they live in that hole over there, but I think that you'll find that they're not going to come out until a little bit later. And they're little ones resting down there, and they'll wait for their mum to come back, and then their mum will feed them milk, and they'll come out and play, probably as the sun goes down. That's if, of course, it doesn't rain too much a little bit later. I'm not sure if you can feel, but the atmosphere here is changing, and it's becoming very, what we call sticky or close. You can feel the moisture or wetness in the air. The clouds are building, and thunder is rolling. It says on the horizon. So, I'm not sure if the hyenas are going to come out at all. Anyway, we're not going to waste too much time here because you don't have too much time left on your safari, so we must carry on going to look for interesting things. Let's go out this way. In the last few days, when it's been a little bit hotter, there's been a hyena close by here, lying in a puddle of water, but I don't see her today. Oops, watch your heads, everybody. All right, let's go back over to Steve, or the Vov, as we like to call him. He's looking for some footprints.
Well, we've moved on from the lions, or the lion. This morning I was on foot and we tracked a young 15-month-old leopard. Her name is Tlalamba. She is beautiful, and I'm hoping to see if we can find her for you again. But as I said, that male lion has got two brothers, and one of the brothers came along that way and kind of followed her. Another one came this way, and then that third one, who's a little bit limpy and injured, is that side. So we tracked her down into this area here, and then she moved away from us. And then I think she smelt the lion because she was she wasn't very comfortable, and then we couldn't find her again. So we're hoping that we're going to find her now. But what we have found is some food that leopards love to catch. And this animal here is one of the herbivores we've been talking about. These are nyala. And you can see that they're nyala by the very striped body, a sort of orangey color. That's a young boy there. And there's two females with the young boy. And this is the type of food that leopards really enjoy, because nyalas like to be in this habitat. You can see this is a bit of an open spot right here, but behind them it's quite thick. The vegetation is not very, very open. It's quite closed. And so nyala like this habitat, and it's a habitat that's quite closely associated with rivers. And we've got a dry river behind us, and these are the areas that leopards love to hang out in, because these are the food animals that they like to catch. And Mimi, you want to know what nyala eat? Well, nyalas are herbivores, so they feed on grass and leaves. They'll feed on some fruit as well. But they are the ones that will take the nutrients from the soil and from the plants, and then they'll give that to the leopard and lion. Lions will also catch these guys if they can. They're very, very nice meat for lion and leopard. And one of the favorites out here. Okay, well, it seems like James has managed to catch up with something that's very fast moving. Let's go over to him quickly before it runs away.
We've managed to catch up with a little tortoise. In fact, it's quite a big tortoise. What you might call in the States a turtle. What we call over here a tortoise. A tortoise is a land-based turtle, so it doesn't swim. Although apparently they can swim, they don't spend much time in the water. There he is. That is a huge, huge tortoise for this area. It's called a leopard tortoise. Let me get out. I'm not going to pick him up. Remember, we try not to pick these animals up because it can give them a fright. And in the case of the tortoise, what they do is that they lose a lot of water, basically. They have a big pee, and they store water so that it'll help them when it's dry, and they lose that water if you pick them up. So I'm not going to pick him up. But I'm going to put my foot next to him and show you how big he is. Normally, they don't get this big, but you can see he's the same size as my size 7 boot, which I think is the same as a size 8 in the US. Might actually be the same size as size 7. Anyway, not a very big boot, but this is for this area is a very big tortoise. And some parts of South Africa, in the Eastern Cape, for example, which is down south of where we are now, they can get up to about this big. And that's about a foot and a bit long. This guy is he's almost not quite a foot. He's probably about 10 inches long. Isn't he nice? Now, we used to think that you could pick these tortoises up and it wouldn't harm them at all, and you could touch their shells and it wouldn't harm them at all. But this is part of their bodies, and it's attached to them, which means even if I just touch him very lightly, he can probably feel that, which is quite interesting to think about because it's very, very hard, this shell. Anyway, that is a leopard tortoise. He's a very, very good-looking fellow. Huge. And he'll be going off to try and find something nice to eat. And often when they think it's going to rain, they will come out and they'll go and look for a puddle to drink from, or they will look for something nice to eat. Now I'm going to teach you something else too. This is my worst grass. My very worst grass in all this wilderness. And it's got a very fancy name. Are you ready? Its name is Tragus berteronianus. Can you say that? Tragus berteronianus. Okay. Once more. Tragus berteronianus. All right. We're going to say it all together now on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Tragus berteronianus. Okay. Now, Tragus berteronianus also has a much easier name, and that is the carrot seed grass. And the carrot seed grass is so irritating because the seeds will stick to you. See? And I've got many, many different socks in my cupboard right now, which I cannot wear anymore because they are covered in the seeds of Tragus berteronianus. Anyway, let's carry on and try and find something more interesting than Tragus berteronianus. Just plugging myself back in. There we go. Charge my batteries. Callie, that tortoise eats vegetation. It is a vegetarian tortoise. In fact, it's probably a vegan tortoise. So it will only eat vegetable matter. I suppose there's probably the odd tortoise that might eat a little bit of insect from time to time. But that one is mostly a vegetarian. So it will eat little green shoots of grass or green flower shoots, that sort of thing. Maybe even a tuber or a fruit or two. We get another tortoise here called the Speke's hinged tortoise, which is a bit like us. It's an omnivore, and it eats a little bit of snails, if you can believe it. It eats millipedes, which are disgusting, and it eats vegetation and also fruit. And much smaller than that big leopard tortoise. So they eat lots of different things. Otherwise, things are quite quiet over here. But we might be lucky. I'm just a little bit worried about that weather, I must say. Ulrich, it really depends. You know, there are many, many hundreds of different kinds of reptiles in Africa, maybe even thousands, in fact, almost certainly thousands, and they all eat different things. Reptiles are often carnivores, so they will often eat, for example, all the snakes. None of the snakes are vegetarians, so they don't eat vegetation or vegetables. They'll only eat other animals. Some of them eat other snakes, some of them eat lizards, some of them eat birds, some of them eat eggs. But none of them eat vegetation. Crocodiles, of course, eat meat only. We get big lizards here called monitor lizards, and monitor lizards also like to eat meat largely. So mostly the reptiles eat meat. All of the skinks and that sort of thing eat insects. So I wonder if our leopard tortoise isn't perhaps one of the only vegetarian reptiles we have. Chameleons, of course, they eat insects. So lots and lots of different kinds of reptiles that we get here. Most of them are meat eaters. If you can describe an insect as meat, of course. I don't think you like to eat insects. Brian, you can get out of the vehicle to look at things, but you wouldn't get out of it if, for example, there was a lion close by, so you wouldn't have seen Steve get out of his car when he was standing with a lion. You won't see Isaac get out of his car when he's standing with, looking at elephants. And so if you are very careful and you look around and you make sure that there's nothing too big or nasty or potentially dangerous, then yes, you can get out of the car and have a look, see what's going on. I'm going to show you the sky quickly because it's really quite scary. It's very, very dark indeed. Senzo, would you show us the oncoming storm? Watch. Look at that, everybody. Isn't that scary? That's our big grey sky coming to pound on our heads fairly soon. And given that we have 2 hours and 15 minutes left of drive, I suspect we might have to nip home at some stage to put a roof on the car. Now, we have a very dry time of it a lot of the time here. It doesn't rain a great deal, and in fact, in the last few years, it's been really dry. And so we're hoping that this will bring us some decent rain. It hasn't rained a lot this year, and although everything looks pretty green and nice at the moment, it'll dry out very quickly as we go towards the winter. Sheldon, we have a very clever engineer in camp, and he has built us a roof for the car. So all we have to do is go back to camp, and it takes 4 people, and then we put a roof on the car. The roof is not very effective for keeping me dry, but old 3 Fingers and Mkhize in the back there will remain dry, as will all of the camera equipment and all of our electronics. I have a bright red raincoat. It's not very good colour for the bush, but it does have the feature of being actually waterproof, which of course most raincoats aren't. So if it starts to look like it's going to rain, we'll drive home and see if we can find ourselves some other people to help us, and we'll put our roof on. All right, let's go back across to the wharf and ask him if he thinks it's going to rain.
Thanks, James. Yes, well, we are still searching for this little leopard. Unfortunately, she's a very little leopard. If she decides to hide, well, in this vegetation, this habitat, it's exactly the design of the leopard spots. The spots are to make them camouflaged, and they blend in to the background. I think the wind is blowing in the wrong direction, and the rain might blow completely past us. It's raining in the town, which is about an hour and a bit drive from us, but quite often it rains there and doesn't come here. The wind is kind of blowing the storm straight past, so I don't think it's going to rain here in the next 2 hours. In the next 3.5 hours, though, I can't be sure. I think it might rain about then, but we're just driving very slowly. And I did this with the school yesterday when we were looking for this leopard, and sometimes when a leopard moves, the animals make all sorts of noises and they shout at the leopard because they don't like it, because they eat them. So can you all do this? Take your hands, put them on your ears. Let's become a nyala, let's become a kudu, and see if we can hear the animals shouting at the leopard. I don't hear anything. When it's windy like this, it makes it quite easy for the leopard to even hide even better. Jess, you want to know what kind of storms we have here? Well, generally, we can have thunderstorms and lightning, and then just heavy rainfall. But there's no snow or anything. Every now and again, you might get some hail, but it's not common to get hail here. But the storm is very common this time of year. This is our wet season months, our summer months, when our rain falls. And when it's as hot as it was today and yesterday, you can almost assume it's going to definitely rain somewhere. But it doesn't rain everywhere. The area we're in is very, very large. The Lowveld, very large. So the rain will fall somewhere. It doesn't cover the entire area. So sometimes you'll see and smell the storm coming, and it just passes us by, which the last couple have done. We might get just a few little spots of rain on our head, but I don't think it's going to get too crazy today. Maybe a little bit later, just as we're finishing our game drive and heading home, that is when the rain is going to come down on our heads, I think. But then, I am not a meteorologist. You can look at the weather and you can try and guess, but sometimes it can surprise you. Hello, Heather. You want to know what season it is? Well, we've gone from summer and we're approaching autumn right now. But essentially what that means is it means it's the rainy season for us. And how hot does it get? It can get up to almost 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Isn't that incredible? That is very hot. That is so super hot. We just melt in our chairs. So that is the hottest time of year here, but there are other places in Africa that get even hotter. Now, you must remember, we're right in the south, and the whole of Africa continues. As you go further to the middle of the continent, it gets even hotter up there. So I don't think it gets too hot yet. It gets rather hot, but it can get hotter in some places, and those places you actually have desert. Imagine being in a desert. No, thank you. No, thank you. You don't get any rain in the desert. Well, not much. Okay, so we're just doing a little bit of a loop around this block to see if we can maybe find this young leopard. But unfortunately, our time with you, young boys and girls, has come to an end. I hope you've had a wonderful afternoon with us. Hope you've learned lots and you're keeping a list of all the animals you see, because I hope we'll get to see you again soon. Next time, have a beautiful afternoon. Make sure you do all of your homework if you are doing any homework. Have a good day at school. Behave yourself. So we'll see you next time. Have a good day.
Welcome to Masai Mara, and I'm already at the Sausage Republic, as David, my colleague, calls it. And over here, I have one of the sausage tree females. She's very hot, and so she's lying very low, trying to keep cool as much as possible. Yes, it is me, Isaac, and on camera I have RJ Andre, and we are here. We have been looking for these guys for the last 45 minutes, and we've been quite fortunate to spot them from a distance. And I don't know how many are here, but by the look of things, there is definitely 2 fully grown females. I don't know where the cubs are. In case you're joining us for the first time, this pride, we know them very well. They're part of our furniture, I would say. And there are 5 females with one mother called Kinky Tail, who recently just given birth, but we haven't seen her new bundle of joy over here. I don't know who is here, so until there you can see the tail moving over there. Definitely it's a live lion. So there's 5 females, 3 quite big cubs, 5 months and 4 months, and then we have about 4 of them that are about 2 months, and then we have new ones that we haven't seen. And this pride of lion specialize in killing buffalo. The last time we saw them eating was about 8 to 10 days ago. So in the next few days, they will be going for another meal. I don't know if it's gonna be another buffalo. Remember to join me on #SafariLive, or you can watch me on YouTube live stream. Join in and ask me as many questions as possible. You can ask me why is the lion sleeping, and many, many more questions. I'll be very pleased to answer you if I can, and if not, I will take it forwards to to my colleagues to see if they can answer it for you. Here, what happens is lions do spend a lot of their time resting, about 18-20 hours of a day. They might seem to be lazy cats, but I tell you, sorry, actually you broke down. I didn't hear you at all, so please could you come back again with that question? But I was saying the lions spend a lot of their time resting. Hello everyone. Yes, I'm very, very happy, as you are also, to see the sausages. Yes, they might seem very lazy, but these girls work for their life. They don't know how to go for small meals. They go for big, I would say in our human life, we would say expensive dining, or fine dining. For them, it's fine dining. They go for big, strong, dangerous. So they are special pride of lions that we are very proud of. When I see them resting like this, I do give them a lot of credit, because I have seen them going on their daily duty of bringing down buffalo, and they do work very hard. You can imagine, let's say I would compare a dog pulling a motorbike. It's next to impossible. But how many can you tie to pull a motorbike? Here, these guys do bring down a fully grown buffalo, and that's when the real power comes in. There are only 5. A buffalo weighs about 800 kilos. It takes a lot of strength, coordination, and the resilience to bring a buffalo down. So they have to really, really tire it. That might take an hour and a half before really going, for it. They usually, pounce on it, jump on its back, pulling it down, and eventually the buffalo usually gives in and lie down. And when it goes down, that's it for the buffalo. So these girls are a special breed of lions that I must say they are one of a kind for me, because they're just unique. Yes, while I stake out this point, let me take you to James and see what he's got for us.
Now, what we have done is come down to Chitwa Dam, possibly an unwise decision, given that this is nearly the furthest point we can be from our roof and camp. Anyway, it's just lovely here over the last little while. I'm sad there isn't more water here, and I hope that the supposed deluge that's supposed to hit us over the next few days perhaps fills this water hole up a bit. Anyway, let's get a bit specific with what's going on here. As usual, the 2 saddle-billed storks are in residence. The female on the right, male on the left. I'm not sure why they're spending quite so much time here, and in fact they've been spending time in exactly the same position. Now, as we know, they are of course a breeding pair without question, and I wonder if we shouldn't just check exactly what time of the year they're known to breed, because if we could get these endangered storks breeding here, it would be a bit of a coup. Now, monogamous large platform nest is built on the top of a tree in full sunlight, usually near water. Well, there's ample opportunity for that here. So let's go down a bit more for some more detail. They do something called a flapdash display. Couldn't begin to tell you what that is. given by the male thought to function in maintaining pair bond or pair formation. All right, let's just quickly check. Copulation takes place after nest completion. That's always good. It's nice to have a home before you get too serious about your partner. Duration 5 to 7 seconds, but it doesn't say when in the year the breeding takes place, which is a bit sad. Anyway, maybe it's all year round. Sometimes they use old nests of other birds, like Wahlberg's eagles. So maybe they're thinking about breeding here. Maybe they're building a home, after which they will mate for 5 to 7 seconds. Oh, yeah, a lot of effort for 5 to 7 seconds. Anyway, beyond them, we of course have the spoonbills. Oh, Graham, before we go across the spoonbills, the female is told by the fact that she is in fact wearing eye makeup. She is wearing yellow eyeshadow around her eyes. And the male is wearing a sort of, well, you might say it looks like he's wearing a yellow cravat. Otherwise, you might say it looks like he had a custard tart for lunch and, well, spilled a bit of custard down his front. So those yellow wattles just under his eyes are what differentiates male from female at this sort of distance. Anyway, beyond them, we have what I think is a very special bird, and that is the spoonbill. So named because they have a beak shaped like a, everybody together? Yes, absolutely, a spoon. And that spoon is apparently, well, no, not a fork, Louise. Louise is directing this afternoon. She said a fork. No, it's not a fork. It's a spoon. Otherwise it'd be called a forkbill, Louise. They are eaters of fish and aquatic invertebrates, and that bill, because of its shape and its texture, as I learned from Crawley the other day, is very good at helping them catch slimy feech. I'm pretty sure they must eat frogs as well, because they were at Biffleshoek Dam recently and I haven't seen a feech there for 2 years. Let me just quickly check here. Feeds on insects and small mollusks. Eats mainly small fish and aquatic invertebrates. Locusts reported as prey, but this is unlikely. Hippos feeling that they are not being treated with due respect, and so giving us a bit of a shout. Now, I think what these chaps are doing is snoozing, basically. That's them having a sleep. I'm very pleased that I don't have to sleep with my neck bent at that angle. And I wonder, because the beak, of course, is exposed and it has quite a wide surface area, and I suppose it's probably quite well vascularized, otherwise it wouldn't be sensitive enough for them to catch things in the water. I wonder if it doesn't get quite cold, and therefore that is why they tuck it underneath the wing when they have an afternoon ziz, as my mother is no doubt doing as we speak. And Louise says she's very pleased she doesn't have to sleep with her legs bent at that angle. Well, Louise, you shouldn't be trying to sleep standing up. Ah, yes, look at one of them is in fact resting on his, well, what do you call that again? The metatarsal joint. It's not a metatarsal joint. Intertarsal joint, sorry. Ooh. Sensor, look what has crawled onto the car. It's devastating. Can you believe it? This foul creature that is set to attacking me. Look, it is a rhino tick. Vile thing. Ugh. Thus far empty of my blood. That's what it was looking for, of course. Well, I'll go and find yourself something to eat elsewhere, please. I know that's probably a little cruel, but I think it will have survived and can now quest from the bush, which is what it should be doing, and not lurking in my clothing. Alrighty. There's quite a lot of action going on the other side there. We can just quickly have a look at the impala, having a bit of a play. A bit of nursery school exercise going on there. It's nice to see. You know, it's nice to see the youth out, running around and not staring at a screen. All right, we're going to go from these impala up to the Marsi Mara where Isaac is sitting with his favourite lions.
I have moved a little bit, changed the angle, and look what we found for you guys. Remember, from there, I was just saying that I can see 2 females. From where I am now, I can count 3 fully grown lionesses and the 3 older cubs. The 3 older cubs are heading towards 6 months and about 5 months. We have one that is actually, Jandre, want to show you the female that we could see earlier, and 1 cub. That one there, I would say, is Limpy. She's the one with the 1 cub, and then the other female without the name has got 2 cubs over here. These ones are about heading towards 6 months, and you can tell they are tightly, suckling. They are still very much dependent on their mom's milk, which is still very nutritious, and going without food for the last about 10 days. They have been forced to go back to regular drinking. Usually lions, like young ones, will stop drinking quite early if they're getting frequent meals. And these guys have been doing so well. This is the first time that I'm really seeing them really getting serious with the drinking. They have very good manners, unlike some cubs that I've seen before. They usually fight for the teats and growl and bite each other. Yeah. Rosemary, yes, what a joy, you say. So happy to see the cubs. Yes, it is such a lovely thing to see them every day and to know that they are alive. If these guys make it, they are going to be some of the best buffalo hunters. The 3, cubs that we see here are all males, and I am thinking if they make it to adulthood, they are going to form a coalition. And it's going to be a very good coalition because they've been brought up really, really well. The other cub that's 5 months used to have a brother that I never saw. And Florian, you asked me at what age, male lions leave the pride. Yeah, it differs from one pride to the other. Some prides, young ones will stay up to the age of around 3, but usually at the age of about 2.5, they become too big, almost as big as the fully grown females. They become too competitive with the females. For example, if the male is not there, they'll try and get all the food if the females, make a kill. So at the age of about 2.5 is when they start getting kicked, off the pride. And after they are kicked out, they will form a coalition if they have more brothers, and that gives them actually a better life because they are able to hunt things by themselves, unlike when they are kicked out and it's only one. It's very tough. In this case, they are 3, and when they reach that age, they will be able to go for big and slow animals. Usually that's what they feed on until they're around 6 years, when they are really big, to be able to come into an area with an older male to intimidate him and then take over from him. That's what usually happens. But when it's all one, just one male, he'll try and stick to the pride almost up to 3 years, and then he's gonna go off by himself which becomes very, very tough for him. Oh, we just saw another one. Yes, another one just sneezed, and we saw her. She's off to my right, over there. I don't know, Jandra, if you can see her. She's over there. There. So I don't know now. I can count 4 females. Exactly, I cannot tell you who everybody, who is here. But eventually, later on, maybe when they start getting up, we'll be able to tell you who is here. I was saying, life of a lone male lion is very tough because he has to survive by himself. And hope, sometimes he hopes he's going to find some females where he can, take over and start forming his own pride. So, lone lions have got much more tougher life than coalitions, which these guys, when they grow up, they are going to have a very good life because they are 3, which means wherever they go, they will be able to hunt if it's something big, and they will be able to overthrow older males that are existing. Of course, there will be one because already we have too many males that are getting older. So these guys have got a better chance if they make it to adulthood. Look at that girl, she's just woken up. I don't know who she is. These girls, mind you, they are actually extra large. They are very big. Lady Sapphire, you asked me if aggressive cubs make it to adulthood. Yes, 100%. Over here is survival of the fittest, and the toughest cubs usually get most of the food, including milk, and so they are actually bound to make it. That is 100% meaty to me. You see that scratch that goes across the face, just in between the nose and down. So definitely she's here. And the rest are all other females. I don't know who they are. We'll be telling you shortly. These guys have been drinking and drinking and drinking. I don't know how, lion's milk tastes, but definitely it looks like it's very tasty. And Mom has got a lot of milk over here. We've been here for about 15 minutes, and all they've been doing is suckling. So yes, while these guys continue drinking, let me take you to James, who's got some impala and zebra for you guys.
We've actually got a zebra, everybody. I haven't seen a zebra for goodness knows how long. This one clearly doesn't have any friends because he's living with some impala, but it's still very nice to see him. And in fact, there are 2. I can see 2 of them now. Does have a zebra friend. That's good. I'm just going to be quiet a second. Hear the Diederik's cuckoo calling. Now they'll slowly start calling less and less because their breeding season will be probably almost done. I don't think any of them will still be laying their eggs. I always find this time of the year slightly, what should we say? I guess not sad. But, well, there we go, and this is the reason. So here's Louise telling me that in Johannesburg, where they are quite common, normally they've stopped calling as well. So this time of the year for me, of course, is a little bit sad because although we've still got our migrant birds for another month or so, and some of them for a bit longer than that, well, it does mean that the kind of excitement of the new spring is over, and we're into the end of the summer now, if you like. Not like we're going to have a winter, anything like most of you have experienced in the United States this year, but still. And in fact, thoughts of winter at this time of the year are a bit ridiculous, but nevertheless. The last call of the cuckoo has a nice nostalgic ring to it, doesn't it? There is our zebra, a stallion. I think, and I'm going to, you can ask Isaac about this when you see him next, but I think our zebras are better looking than theirs. And as Louise says, he looks like he's been bleached and scrubbed. Now, there are some impala, of course, lying down to do a bit of ruminating in front there, and you'll see that they are doing that, even though those are youngsters, and that they are only about 3 months old now. Are they even that old? December, January? Well, no, they're not quite. Probably slightly younger than 3 months old. And some of them they will have started eating grass. Certainly. In fact, no, they're probably pretty much weaned by now. And old Trolli, who has become utterly fascinated by rumination for some reason that I fail to fathom myself. I mean, I have a basic understanding of it, but nothing like the depths of fascination for it that he has, was telling me an interesting thing about impala the other day, and I'll get him to tell you this as well, but I'm going to tell it to you while I look at them. And that is, of course, that the four-chambered stomach containing the rumen, the reticulum, the omasum, and the abomasum don't all function in a young suckling ruminant, especially an impala. And in fact, only the abomasum, which is the last chamber before the small intestine functions in a baby, because of course they don't eat vegetation, they only drink milk, and so they only need the part of the stomach that is useful for protein and fat digestion. Isn't that interesting? I thought that was very interesting. Corley then came to me at lunchtime today and asked me a whole lot more questions about rumination, none of which I could answer for him, so I'm going to have to look them up. Alrighty, let's go across to the wharf. He appears to be at some form of waterhole, probably with my friend Scuba.
Welcome back, everybody. We have got to Buffelshoek Dam. Well, there are no hippopotamuses anywhere, but we've got a gorgeous African spoonbill. We're putting in a lot of effort to try and find the Princess Tlalamba, but I don't know where she is. She is hiding from us today, but it's so incredible to spend time with a spoonbill and see how active they are when they feed, moving through the water there, disturbing the mud and the sediment. And they've got a trigger-like beak that snaps closed very quickly to catch whatever it is. Ooh, it's getting a little bit deep there, boy. Okay, so good news is that Rexon is on the tracks of Thandi, who has come in from Torchwood, and she's going directly towards the last position of Tlalamba. So he's on those tracks. Thankfully, he's coming back to give us a hand because he's an excellent tracker. And if anybody can help us find Princess Tlalamba and her mum Thandi, it is Rexon. So the spoonbill, one of those specialized beaks, probably the most characteristic of any of the birds out there. And I know we've been doing a little bit of work this last week on how to identify birds. And well, the spoonbill, first of all, you'll notice that it's in the water. Oh, he's caught something there. They're in the water and they're moving head side to side. And if you get a look at their beak, it's called a spatulate shape beak. And there's no other bird that I know of in Africa that has got the same type of beak. And so very easy to identify it as a spoonbill. Some people might confuse them with yellow-billed storks, but the stork has got a straight beak that ends in a point rather than a spoon-like spatula. So, and it's yellow, of course. Very busy. They just don't stop moving. Anything that touches the beak will cause it to slam shut. And then they're very, very... Christine, he is indeed hoovering the water. Sometimes you actually see them disturb the sediment with their feet. And they kick a little bit. There we go. He's caught something. Oopsie. In it goes. Isn't that just the funniest beak shape? If you've never believed in evolution, that's evolution right there to allow the bird to develop a beak of... Ooh, it's going under the water now. But it's incredible just how busy they can be. You know, the yellow-billed storks are very slow-moving in their approach. They spend a lot of time disturbing the sediment with their foot and then waiting for something to touch also their very, very trigger-like beak, which will then snap closed, catching whatever it might be. So the spoonbill, same as the yellow-billed stork, will feed on small fish and aquatic invertebrates. Oh, got another one. He's been catching at an alarming rate, but it's been impossible to see exactly what he's catching. Oh, and see how he moves fast as something tries to swim away. Hello, Rosalind. You want to know what a spoonbill sounds like? Well, I just happen to have my bird app open, so I'm going to play it for you. I actually don't know, to be honest with you. Are you ready? Sounds like a crow. How bizarre is that? I suppose if you spoke through a spatulate-shaped beak, it'd also sound a bit strange. Well, there's no hippos in attendance, but just goes to show how it almost sounds. Louise thinks it sounds like someone strangling a hardy-dar. It does indeed. It's got a similar sort of sound to it. It's nowhere near as annoying, though. But you can just see how shallow this watering hole is. James was talking about Chitwa not so long ago and about how much needed rain is required there to fill it up. Here, the spoonbill is ankle deep, or should I say waist deep now in that patch of the water. So it's not very deep, with a lot of room to fill the watering hole. And, well, to last through the very long dry season that is very soon approaching, we're going to need a lot more rain. And the wind and the rain that was approaching has all seemingly, disappointingly dissipated. The beautiful blue skies in front of us are starting to show. That's the direction the wind was blowing from. So the storm is definitely hitting the Kruger Park at some point, but not here. Laura Moore, you want to know about any tales about how it got its beak? I'm sure there are. I've never heard one. No doubt James has probably heard one, or if any of you out there, have you had any story of how the spoonbill got its beak, like how the elephant got its trunk, or how the zebra got its stripes? Those are all very interesting tales indeed of birds and animals, but I don't actually know of one for the spoonbill. But if no one knows, I will definitely be having a little read about it and see if I can find something. Because no doubt more primitive people would have had a story about why the spoonbill had that sort of beak. And no doubt it would have been something quite interesting. Everything is very logical when you tell stories. Back in the day, it was all about stories. That's how information was passed on. That's how people remembered things, was by story, long before anyone was able to write anything down. And I mean, the first records of writing things down is hieroglyphics, and that's over 3,000 years ago. But predating that, there's really no evidence of humankind writing anything down that we know of, or anything we can remember, because it was either carved into stone or it was put on some form of parchment, which has obviously not remained around due to time frames. But anyway, we're going to move on from the spoonbill. We're going to go give Rexon a hand trying to find Tandi and her little princess. In the meantime, let's go to some little cubs in the Mara having some dinner.
Well, I am still here with my lazy sausage tree pride lions. The cubs are still very busy trying to get their fair share of milk, because I think they know what is going to happen tonight. These girls, all of them, look very hungry, and I think the cubs do know that tonight they need a bit of energy to follow the females when they go on their night prowl. Not far from where we are is a nice herd of hartebeest and buffalo. I don't know which restaurant they might decide to go to this evening, but these cubs seems to know that it's going to be a rather challenging evening, and the females also are trying to conserve all the energy that they have, because take care. Can I give you the breakdown of nutrients in a lion's milk? Of course, that is a very difficult question for me. I haven't done that study of breaking down the milk, and to start with, I don't know actually how I would get that milk. Maybe I'll have that, ask help from my fellow guides who are on a drive to assist me with that. But actually, it's a question I've never thought about. If you remind me, I might go read more about the milk and maybe come back to you on the next few shows. If you'll be around, I'll be pleased to give you that answer. But at the moment, I can be very open with you, is I don't know the breakdown of the nutrients. All in all, I'll do that research and come back. Maybe somebody else will be interested also in knowing the nutrients. I'm also actually very interested to know. This cub has been forced to drink acrobatic style. You can tell it's not the most comfortable pose, but all in all, he can get to the teat. So I think all that matters is getting hold of that nipple, and everything else can sort itself out. Yeah, it's not the most comfortable pose. These girls, I haven't seen them for quite a while, and it's very, very, very nice for me. It's very, it's such a wonderful moment for me to see them. I haven't seen them for more than 12 days. Being out here every day and not seeing them sometimes worries me because I don't know what has happened. But to be able to count 4 females and 3 cubs is such joy. I know that they're still okay, and there's still food in their territory. Diane, thank you for your question. You asked me, is Kinky Tail taking care of her cubs together with Mitty's cubs? Yes, I would say so, because the last time my colleague David saw these lionesses, which apparently was this morning, Mitty was there, but Kinky wasn't there. And so Kinky might be taking care of all the cubs. We don't know how many she's got, Kinky herself, but we know that Mitty has got 4 very beautiful cubs. So she's taking care of them, Kinky Tail. I think she's a good grandma and also a very experienced female. So whatever she's got plus the 4 is not a big deal. And I hope tonight maybe these girls will make some food for her, so she'll be paid for taking care of the little ones. Yeah, the twitching of the ear every now and then is getting rid of some flies that usually try and go and get a few creepy claws from the inside. It does get irritating, and the lion has to shift the ears every now and then. Yeah, it's all very calm here, getting a little bit windy, as you can tell. The grass is moving a little bit. There's a lot of lions here in the long grass, so there's no place for walking. These are the grassy plains of the Mara, and in Maasai, Mara means dotted or spotted. Anytime you come here, if you're lucky, if you stop somewhere high, you will see the plains are dotted with lone trees from here to there. That gives it, its name Mara, which is called dotted or dotted. These plains here are towards the Serengeti. We're not very far from Serengeti, and over here it's very, very wide and open. What you see here is what we call the grassland savanna, full of highly nutritious red hot grass. This is the type of grass that attracts the wildebeest during the migration season to come and feed on it. It is in plentiful, and once they are here, they will eat it. The females will come into season, and then, they go back to the Serengeti to give birth. And this is when the wildebeest arrive here, this is when these lions are almost, we say, in Christmas time, because food is everywhere. That is the only time I think the sausage tree pride goes for different kind of food in plentiful. Otherwise, these other times, they depend on what is available here, which is mostly Cape buffalo. A rather big, very dangerous animal, but that is what they specialize to do. These cubs tells me that definitely they are about there 6 months, because that is when they're supposed to be weaned from drinking. But as I said earlier, if they haven't been eating well, they'll continue drinking until maybe even 6.5 months, maybe even 7. Who said they only drink for 6 months? That's what I read. Maybe they go even 7 months. Diana, you asked me if bigger cubs will dominate smaller cubs. Definitely with animals. I don't know if that was the question, but definitely with animals, especially predators. And here in Africa, leopards, cheetahs, hyenas, wild dogs, lions. Older cubs usually will actually try to dominate, smaller cubs, and they'll try to take as much food as possible. I don't know if that was the question, and if it's not, maybe they will have, FC will have to repeat it for me to give you the correct answer. But definitely older cubs try to dominate. Yes, thank you very much to understand that was the question. Yes, the older cubs usually try and drink, eat as much as possible. And surprisingly, in the animal world, unlike we humans, mothers are not that interested in whoever is being bullied very much, especially if they can fight for themselves. They actually take care of the ones that are actually stronger and can take care of themselves. Those are the ones they end up, trying to nurse and giving food, which is rather, awkward. In the human world, mothers will take care of everybody. Animals are very, very different. Nothing much has happened here apart from tail moving, ear moving, and cub moving. That's all has been happening here. Everything else has been sleeping lions. Lisa, thank you for your wonderful question. We are looking forward to that. You ask, when will Kinky Tail bring her cubs out to meet up with the rest of the pride? Very interesting question. I think right now they are heading towards 3-4 weeks, almost a month. The last time she disappeared is almost about 3-4 weeks. Usually they say about 2 months is when they get introduced to the pride. But for me, I saw Mitty's cubs getting introduced to the rest of the pride at 1 month, sorry. So I don't know exactly when she's gonna introduce the cubs, but I'm hoping very soon. Once we see them, we actually might be able to tell you by the size, by the look, how they need to be able to move. And these females actually interact a lot, so they might get introduced to the rest of the pride, much sooner than normal. And we are hoping that that might happen, Lisa. I think I'm looking forward to seeing them getting introduced. Okay, while these guys sleep, they're making me sleepy, let me take you down to James, who's driving around in Duma.
I would love to see Kinky Tail's cubs as well, and I hope that they eventually do make an appearance. Of course, everyone has fallen in love with Kinky Tail, mostly on account of the fact that she has a kinky tail. Now, I say that without sort of facetiousness. It's because she's the most easily recognizable lioness, like amber eyes of the Nkuhumas. Now, we have got some kudus here, some greater kudus. I've never seen a lesser kudu. They don't occur here. And interestingly, they're eating grass. Haha, look at that. They are, of course, predominantly browsers. They will eat grass from time to time, but I would have thought at this time of the year they were sticking to the trees. Oh, that one wants to be in a rodeo. A feisty young cow. And, of course, the entire package accompanied by a number of attendant oxpeckers looking for wounds and holes in the skin from which to suck blood. So that's a fairly typical grouping for kudu, a little group of females. And there'll be a bull that'll come around at some stage and see if any of them fancy a bit of a mate before the dry season sets in. Now, as they disappear behind that bush, I must tell you that it was in this area last year, I think it was last year, that we had a great spotted cuckoo twice. And I wondered if we might get them again. I don't think I've seen one this year. In fact, I definitely haven't seen one this year. The great spotted cuckoo. Righty, nothing else happening here. We have come onto a road known as Ledwood Road, which is in the southeastern corner of Jumar. So we've come off Chitwa. We're going to sort of wind our way back towards the hyena den. I think we're probably about half an hour early for any action there. So we'll wind our way along there, see if we can't find some tracks of Tingana or any of the other leopard characters that we have. We might just be lucky, we might not. Interestingly, I don't know if many of you saw this or heard about it, but Tingana had a spat with Quarantine the other day. And for those of you who don't know who Quarantine is, Quarantine was born on this reserve. He was born to the late great Karula, Queen of Leopards. Well, certainly of this area anyway. And he's Horsana's brother. And he now lives on Cheetah Plains, which is a long way to the east of us. And he has a territory adjoining Tingana's. And Tingana took his current territory from Quarantine's fathers. And so they had a little border meeting. And, well, apparently there wasn't any physical conflict, but there was some snarling and hissing and a bit of enthusiastic urinating. If only men were able to sort out their differences in such a fashion. We've certainly got the posturing correct. But then instead of going to the vigorous urinating, we go to the violence and fighting. Which generally results in no one winning anything, really. This is a slightly amusing thought. As Louise says, yes, rather more similar to male lions than leopards. Yes, that's absolutely right, Louise. Although they do engage in the vigorous urinating part of it as well. It'd be quite amusing. Excuse me if I'm being a little bit graphic for you, but I won't be very graphic. It'd be quite amusing to see two men or groups of men sizing each other up in the pub of a Saturday evening and then eventually deciding they couldn't with their posturing sorted out. And so they say, one of them says, "We'll see you outside." And the whole gang then goes outside, and instead of setting to each other with knives and half beer bottles, they set to, well, having a good wee around the place and then sorting out their differences in that manner. I've certainly never seen that. Sorry, I apologize. I'm not going to repeat what Louise said. You know, there's always somebody who takes it just that little bit too far. Normally that's me. This afternoon it was Louise. We're going to ease our way, like I say, back to the hyena den. I might just pop past that lion as well. Oh, hang on a second. There's a nyala. Sends all that nyala is hiding from us, isn't it? But that does give me a chance to allow you to listen to the thunder rolling in. I'm going to ask Senzo to correct me here, but as far as I'm aware, there's a wonderful saying in Zulu for thunder, and that is liadoma. And it's is that right? It's an onomatopoeic sort of word, doma, to thunder, liadoma. And now it is boomering a lot. Der Doma ga cool. Oh, I don't know that Steve was right about the wind blowing in the right direction. Or the wrong direction. But we might be okay. On we go along Leadwood Road. Once again, apologise for my strange sense of humour. It's probably left most of you staring slack-jawed at the screen, slightly disturbed. Now the wind is starting to pick up now, so obviously the head of the storm or the side of the storm is pretty close to us. As I say, I do hope it buckets down this evening, but not before we've finished. Alrighty, we're going to try our best to find animals. Louise, do you want these or have you linked? I'm sorry. Slight delay with Johannesburg, you see, everybody. Okay. Sorry about that. Well, normally what happens, of course, is that we start a link and then final control has to go straight across to Steve. Anyway, she held off slightly there, and now we have got a yawning batelier. The silhouette of a yawning batelier. Now, these chaps do have a nest close by. That is the female, I think I'm looking at. Very difficult to tell with them silhouetted. No, that's the male. In fact, those are both males. So that's odd. Now, I know they're both males because they've got the greyish shoulder, but not the greyish wing primaries. Neither of them have that, which means that they're both boys. Well, well, well. Not sure why that should be the case, unless they're competing for a female. But there has been a couple living around about this area for some time. Let me just quickly go to my app. Oh dear, I felt a drop of rain. Did you feel that, Senzel? Not the same one, obviously. I actually think we are going to have to nip back home and get a roof just for in case. Right, let me just quickly look at this. Blah, 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 blah. Monogamous, yes. Pair bond persists between years. Solitary nester, 13 to 16 kilometers apart in Zimbabwe. Now, I'm going to predict that we are probably going to go across to Steve at some stage soon, because on the radio I'm hearing some very interesting things that I think are going to interest you very much. Enjoy.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, look at who we have finally found. The princess. She's all grown up. I can't believe it. I'm so happy. Now, where she's walking to now is exactly where we started tracking her this morning. And Thandi, we believe, from the tracks is on her way here. So how awesome is that? You know what it is? I decided to leave my camera at home this afternoon, and that's why she's popped out for us. Because if I did bring my camera like I did yesterday, well, she wouldn't have shown herself. Isn't she beautiful? She looks very much like her mother. I have to make sure that she's not actually... That's definitely Tlalamba Hedge. Hey, Dalvi? Definitely, yeah. Okay. Yeah, Rex, she's in the road approaching Central now. Okay, so Rexon is in the scene helping us track. So he is very excited. He's got a few super fans on board. Oopsie, there we go. I just stalled the car. That we're very excited to see Tlalamba this morning. So that is what he's been doing. And I know lots of you have been quite excited to see her as well. I have waited since August to see this beautiful girl. Don't lose her now, Steve. She's still in the road. Yes, she is. Okay. I think she's looking for a snack. Ravinda, well, it's quite possible that we might find the two of them. Tundi might come out of nowhere and show herself. We don't know. It almost seems as if Tlalamba knows that something's going on, but it might be also because it's quite windy. She's trying to catch herself a snack. It's a good time of day to try and catch any sort of franklins and anything that might be a little bit sort of aware on the ground. Some squirrels moving around at the moment, looking for the marula fruits on the floor from elephant dung. Franklins, guinea fowls moving around. When it's windy, her stealth is amplified. And here we go. Rexon is about to come in, and now she was looking at some hornbills there. So right where we are, the tracks of the male lions moved straight across here this morning. So I think that's also what's making her a little bit nervy. When it's windy like this, she also can't tell for sure how long ago the male lions were here, or if they are still here. They might be somewhere close by, although we did get their tracks going north and sort of past Buffelshoek area. The people on the vehicle are very excited. They've all got their cameras. Anyway, I'll rely on your wonderful screenshots, everybody, to allow me to get good visuals, good visuals of this beautiful young leopardess. And she's moving through the long grass there. Remember, I just showed you some nice tall long grass this morning, and it's perfect habitat for all of your nesting birds, and they will be nesting this time. They even go on and nest again if the rains are good. Very good place for guinea fowl and franklin to be nesting, and she's probably learning that. That's probably where she's been getting her meals the last few days, maybe a scrub hare or two if she can catch them. And also with the birds, probably the only food she's able to get without her mum around. I doubt she's able to catch an impala yet. But anyway, while we try to get another view, let's go back up to the Mara with Isaac and the Sausage Tree Pride.
Well, I have moved slightly, just trying to get a better view, a better angle of this beautiful lions of ours, and just to remind you that although we know these lions and their cubs and their males so well, we know and we still respect that they are very, very wild, and we will never do anything, silly like getting out or calling them. We'll try and leave them to do what they do best. And we appreciate all the time that they give us to share, their life with them and, share it with you guys. So these are real and wild lions. Although we have names for them, I'm sure they don't know that we call them that. But I'm sure they do know about this vehicle that always comes and stays for very long here with different people. They do, I'm sure, they do realize there are some vehicles that stay longer. Yes, this one of the females, I cannot tell you exactly who she is. She's very fast asleep, quite a distance. Of course, that's good works of Andre and his camera works that are able to give you this beautiful, beautiful picture of how, they sleep, what they do when they sleep. Incredibly, lions are some of the few animals, according to my experience, that I know sleep without any worry. Unlike antelopes and birds, these, cats, they sleep without a care in the world. And I'm sure it is because they know they are the king of beasts. Rhinos, buffaloes, elephants will sometimes try and chase them when they find them, but it is rare that they get too close without the lions realizing that there is somebody, walking towards them. Hello. Yes, sometimes when they've been sleeping like this for very long, they will change positions. It's getting cooler, so it is going to be actually quite soon. It's going to be time for them to go prowling. Usually, prides of lions differ from one to the other, depending on what they grew up eating. That is what mostly they go for. These beautiful lionesses, we know them, and they are master killers of buffalo. And I'm sure there's a strategy here that they know they're going through. They know what time is best for them to go hunting, so they're conserving all their energy. I'm looking forward to to seeing what they're going to be doing in the next maybe 45 minutes. They might seem like very lazy, but when decides to go, Sherry, thank you for your question. Keep me busy like that. You asked me if when they go hunting, they leave a female behind to take care of the cubs. Of course, yes. One will drag from a distance and walk slowly towards the rest, because she's got very good eyesight, and also she can hear what is happening and how far the other lionesses are. She will follow the rest of the females with the cubs. It's like a babysitter, but also these cubs are quite big now, and they will be they'll be able to catch up with the rest of the females. So yes, there is a female that gets left behind to take care of the females, and especially if they are walking long distances. With this pride, we can tell you, and I can tell you that I know these cubs come even for kills. The last time I saw them bringing a buffalo, everybody was very, very worried. I was also very worried that buffalo was going to go and kill the little ones. But they actually managed, to help tire the buffalo down, and the females brought it down. So they are very brave little ones. And I think, they are getting the best skills from the best, masters of hunting. Yeah, these lions here in the Masai Mara, the population is getting better and better. I cannot say it is good, but it's getting better and better. Every little, place in the Masai Mara has got a pride, and especially here in the Mara Triangle, we do have about 6 to 7 different, prides that we know. We have been seeing quite a good number of nomadic lions roaming, and also some nomadic females and males going around. So they might be trying to establish, small territories within where it's not very busy. Usually what determines a good territory is availability of game for them. And what avails the game is availability of grass, water, and, a few habitats like bushes, open grasslands, so that different animals are available. And most of the territories now have been taken, so those nomadic ones might have to end up looking for smaller territories, which is rather difficult, but I'm sure they will find. So we have a very healthy population of lions. I'm not saying we have enough. I would wish that, every few kilometers I would see a lion. Just like my father, he was here in the 50s and 60s, and he always used to ask me question and ask me, how many lions have you seen in one day on your game drive? And then I would tell him about 8, and we say, they've killed all the lions. In one day I used to count 60 lions. That was my dad used to tell me when he came through here some years back. So I'm looking forward, to those days when we will have lots and lots of lions. Yes, so, I'm looking for, to those days when we'll have more lions and see what happens. There's, of course, you do say that, we have too many of these, too many of that. Nobody ever complains of, having too many humans. So it would be nice to have as many as possible. And the population is getting very, very healthy, especially here in the Mara Conservancy. And this is because the management has made sure that there is zero tolerance to poaching and any kind of illegal, hunting or poaching here. So the animals have, can feel that. They can sense there is security. And so all the animals are coming back, in huge numbers. This area where I am in my guiding days, which is about quite a good number of years, I wasn't able to come here because this was a poachers-prone area. If you came here, you had to have a rifle, and you always had to stop somewhere where you could see 360 degrees because a poacher might decide to come for you. So it is nice that there is security and I can come here and watch these animals. Then, there were no lions because they could sense humans, and so they didn't feel comfortable breeding here. So we have these huge expanses of land now that the lions are to be found, and it is such a wonderful thing. Yeah, they seems to be, getting a little bit restless, the cubs, getting up every now and then. They might seem to be very lazy, but, lions, I do know that they are very, active animals. Giraffe girl, your question, I heard it, but it was broken. But if I understand you asked if Kinky Tail is afraid to bring the cubs to the rest of the cubs because they're much older. I think that was the question. If it was, then it is time to answer you. I think it is not the case. They are not ready to be introduced. Maybe they are still, they're still too small to walk in this long grass, and there is no need for them to walk this far because maybe Kinky Tail knows, and she's a very experienced, female lioness, so she knows there's no need. She can just give them a body language or a body sign that, tells them that, I'm going out for dinner, because you need milk, and I'll come back in a few hours. And they'll learn that, and so she'll come and join the rest of the females, go out on a hunt, and then she goes back. But I think it's not the case that, they are, she's afraid of the cubs. I think they are not ready. Giraffe girl. Yes, these two are getting restless, getting playful. Yes, look at that. Yep. They're starting to get, playful. And you can tell definitely that the guy facing us, he's definitely a male. Males from a very young age, they have that bigger head. That is the head of a 6-month-old cub. It's a very big head. They usually have this big head, and you can tell he's getting a bit of a beard, or a mane, what we call it. That is the younger cub, that's 5 months. These games are very essential to these great cats because they strengthen those muscles that they will need to be able to hunt. Gary, you asked me if lions ever intrude to the villages outside of the reserve. Yes, they do. What happens is, outside the reserve or the conservancy, there is villages, and villages, it comes cows, sheep, and goats. And those animals, sometimes because they live in one area, do overgraze some areas. So the grass is always shorter. So when the grass gets very high here, most of the grazers go up there, and what happens? These cats know, they can smell, they can hear them, they go to the villages. And sometimes when they don't find what they're looking for, and they come across a goat that hasn't been locked in, they forgot it, a dog that is barking and it's a leopard, it can ambush it, it can find it because the dog is always barking, and so they get it. So, of course, yes, they do get out there, but it's not very common, usually in hard times. And when I say hard times are when, it's been just after the rainy season, the grass is very high, most game go out there to the villages. And actually, close to our camp, we have lions almost every night now, and hyenas, because we have zebras, giraffe, impalas. Yes, they do come and say hello every now and then, and those conflicts usually come. There is a management team that has been set aside to see that the villagers understand that when these animals go out there, they should try, inform them so they can come and chase them back. And if something is taken, they should not revenge or go for these predators. They should talk to the the park management to be able to be compensated. Yes, I'm still here with these beautiful guys. I'm hoping that anytime soon, I don't know, when I say soon, they say soon it's about 2 minutes. Soon in Africa can be 3 hours. And with lions, you never know. It can be in the next second. If a warthog come across here, they might decide to go out, go for it immediately. So soon they're going to go, but my soon, I don't know how long it's going to be. Yeah, those guys seems to be, rather playing peacefully. I don't hear any growling, any biting. Sometimes it starts like that and gets very ugly, gets very aggressive. Yes, while these guys, they're soon, I don't know when it's going to come. Let's take you down to James, down in Greater Kruger.
I have returned to the field, sporting my very bush jacket, as you can see. Yes. And what we're going to do is drive down to the hyena den and hope like nuts they are there. Because to drive around in rain like this is deeply unpleasant. That's our plan. We have our roof on. So unfortunately you will be seeing a pole fairly soon, but that's okay. As long as it brings with it an animal, that's fine. Now the weather report, like most weather reports of course, will work of fantasy, said it was only going to start raining at 7 o'clock this evening. It's an hour out. I suppose that's not too bad. We did know it was going to rain. And it is still dummering in the background. So we're going to drive with quite a lot of speed, probably batten down the sides, face whatever side it is into the wind, and hopefully have some hyena action straight in front of us. That's the general plan. What will probably happen, however, is that there won't be a hyena anywhere near, and we will drive around becoming wetter and wetter. We went past that pan, by the way, on the way up here to get the roof, to see if that lion was there, and he seems to have moved. And so there might be something interesting going on there too. Anyway, we'll try the hyenas first, as the rain begins. Now the annual rainfall in this area is supposed to be around about 500 to 600 millimeters of rain, which is about 2 feet of rain. So 24 inches or so, just under. And I don't think that we've had half that this year. I think maybe half, but certainly not much more than that. Last year was the same, and you saw how dire it was at the end of the dry season. Not quite as bad as the year before, but we are most certainly in a dry cycle. You want this for? My face. Senzo's just handed me this nice cover for my face. that right? Wonderful. It's getting a little steamy in here. I can't really see where I'm going. But I should be able to find the hyena den, I hope. Senzo, I don't know about you, but I think I look ridiculous.
No, this one.
You think that one's better?
No, this one.
That one is too small. Oh, you're putting one on as well, I see. Louise, how do I look? I think Louise is not talking to me anymore. Oh, there we go. I'm plugged in now, Lou. I think I've got a problem with my earpiece. Ah, thank you. Louise says I look very fetching. Thank you, Louise. If Jeandre is watching this drive and sees me wearing his monitor cover on my head, he'll have a heart attack. Ah, Paula, you want to know if there's a cold or a warm rain? It's relatively warm, actually. But that's because the wind hasn't really hit us just yet. And of course, any kind of rain ceases being warm after a certain amount of time. Do you want me to put my head cover on the monitor now? Okay, I'm going to have to take this off. Use it for what it was meant. Now my head's going to get wet, Senzo. You don't seem to be concerned about that fact. So, Paula, it feels like it's kind of nice, warm summer rain at the moment. And interestingly, I mean, the last time I saw rain coming from the northwest like that, it was some time ago, and it was a massive storm. Because it looks like it's coming in off the coast, off the Mozambican Channel. So this is not a front coming in, this is a great big storm system. And you're not too far from where we hope the hyenas will be. Vile weather for game drive, but it's alright. It's quite nice while it starts. Probably won't be quite so cheery in an hour. Anyway, let's go back to Isaac, who for once in his life and David's life is not the one in the rain.
Yes, these lionesses are up now. I can't see what they are glued to, but definitely it is not a tree. Must be something they can eat. Yes, you have beautiful teeth. That's why you kill buffalo. Yes, they have been looking in that direction. There are two of them that are up, and they have been looking in that direction, you can see. So definitely there's something. I can't see because whatever they're looking at is behind me. It is maybe not that interesting anymore, or they are deciding, or that one has decided to leave the decision maker. Maybe she's the decision maker to decide if, they're going to go for it, if it's something edible. But this is a time of evening that they have, if there is something, to pinpoint it and be able to start going towards it. This is typical when they haven't eaten for a good number of days, and this is the case with these girls. They haven't eaten for quite a while. Yes, you are beautiful. Look at the size of the nose. You see how broad it is? This tells me, these girls are quite, very big. I've seen some big lionesses, but these lionesses in this pride are particularly extra big. They are big. And that's why I think they have the confidence to go for big game. Those eyes have got amazing binocular vision where they can see, about 10 times better than I can see. How I normally tell everybody to find out or to judge how far a lion can see is if you can see a ping ball at the end of a football pitch. Lions can see that 10 times. That's how good their eyesight is. That is how good the eyesight is. I don't know, she has decided to walk towards us. You can tell that this is a lactating female. All the teats are sagging, so it means she is producing milk. And that is the kind of rubbing they do just before hunting. It's like beautiful, look at that. Yes. The rubbing of the heads makes sure that the scent that they smell is the same from one to the other, and that's how they are able to recognize one another when they rub their bodies on bushes, trees, rocks. This is the only time lionesses do this. They show love, they show care. Totally very, very different. Sorry, I didn't hear that question. If you could repeat the question, please. But when they are eating, they are very aggressive towards each other. But immediately after... Jennifer, thank you for your question. You asked me, how often do lions eat? It is always very tricky to answer that question because it has to be long. I cannot say 2, 3, 4 days. Because, unlike humans, we know that we have a meal maybe for lunch, dinner, and breakfast. For lions, sometimes they don't know when they're going to get a meal. So they might eat now, and in the next, 4 hours, they find something, they will kill it and eat again. But normally, they can spend about 5 to 7 days without eating. They have been known to eat almost every day if whatever they kill is not big enough to make them full. So they accumulate lots of fat. So in lean times, they are able to go for those 5 to 7 days without eating. So it is rather, a tricky question to answer you. But yes, they can go 5 to 7. But if they find something to eat, they will take that opportunity because they don't know when the next meal will be available. Yes, these girls are showing lots and lots of love, and they need it because female lionesses, especially sisters, sometimes stick together for the rest of their lives, and they do need each other, not only in hunting but also to keep this territory. Because if some females come into this territory, they will also show them that they belong here, and they'll stand their ground and chase them off this territory. These are very, very healthy lions. They are not starving. They're just lean, I would say. And they have enough power and energy to go for their next meal. While I, observe these girls, showing some love, let me take you to Juma, where they have, somebody's got some hyenas.
We've got to the den and there are at least 2 mothers here, which is fantastic news. One is around the other side. We're just going to wait here and look at this hyena. I think it's June. She's got her ears intact and she seems to be suckling the youngsters inside, and she is the mother of the youngest ones. As I always admit to all of you, I'm not good at identifying animals. So if you would like to take task with my identification, then I'm more than happy for you to do that. But I'm pretty sure that that's June. Now, I haven't met her little babies yet. And as far as I'm aware, this must be her first litter, surely. Now, interestingly, of course, this hyena, June, was daughter of Scarback. She was born... There's Plonk. There's little Plonk. Look at him. So June was daughter of a matriarch of this clan before she died. No, sorry, was she? Yes. Was Scarback ever the matriarch? No, Madam was the matriarch for a while. So June, no, that's right. June wasn't daughter of a matriarch. And she's had her first litter. It's all very difficult to remember what's going on because you don't see them all the time. What's going on here now? So she's moved off because there's another hyena in front of us who I have not identified yet. That's an adult. Let's have a look-see. It looks like a male to me. Yeah, here comes Corky to chase her away, I think. Is that Corky? No. Who is that now? Yes. She smelt something. No, that's pretty, I think. She's only got one scaffy ear as opposed to two. Moving off now. I wonder if they can't smell some trouble here. Please don't leave, chaps. It really would be most inconvenient because I don't want to drive in this weather. There's one adult still there. That's who we identified as June. Maybe let's just move a little bit forward. How's that? They seem to be coming back now. Can you see that one, Sins?
Yeah.
Now this is getting very, very wet indeed. Yes. Thank you, True Check. You say the one chased off there was a male. That's great. Woo-wee! Have you got the T1K with you? Sins?
Yeah.
Where's the T1K? At home?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, great. Perfect. I don't think it's in there. Yeah, it's not in there, that's fine. Sorry, I was just discussing with Sensor where the FLIR thermal camera is, which is, of course, a massively valuable piece of equipment that we cannot get wet. Yes, well, things are certainly getting quite wet out here now. I'm not going to move just yet. I see that Pretty came back. But I suspect if this storm really gets going, these hyenas are not going to be moving around and calling their youngsters out to come and play with us. Ugh. It's getting pretty wet in here. Sensor, of course, is completely dry in the back there. I am not. I wonder if we can't angle slightly so that the inside of this car isn't taking the full brunt of the storm. But let's wait here for a while. Anyway, send your questions through. Remember, hashtag SafariLive. YouTube chat stream. And in fact, let's go back to Isaac for now, because he is drier and moving with the sausages.
Well, like I said, soon in Africa it can be 1 minute to 5 hours. These girls had me, and it happened. They are on the move now, and they are hunting. They are in front of me. I don't know if you can see them. They're over there, and I'm following them from a distance. Let me just stop so you can see them. They are over here. All of them, all of a sudden, just got up and started moving. You know, you can tell that, you know, that is not just a walk in the park. They are looking for something to go for. So for the next and for the rest time of the show, this is what I'm gonna do. Just follow them, and hopefully they can get a meal. Of course, I do feel sorry for whoever they are going for, but this is nature, and nature at its best. There's nothing I can do, and the lions have to eat. And of course, again, I don't know what they are going for. So don't take me wrong. They might be very good buffalo hunters, but they might decide to go for anything else. All of a sudden, you know, they just decided to get up and move. It didn't take long. Usually, for some other pride of lions, you know, that I've seen, they stretch, they rub around, they like discuss, you know, without, you know, telling us exactly what they're saying. But these girls just stood up and started moving. And like I was saying, these cubs are still very adventurous, very tough. You can tell they are behind there. They are following in the grass. Everybody is here. Every now and then they have to stop, raise their heads, because the grass is very high or tall, and try and locate what they can go for. The direction they're heading, there is the only herd of hartebeest and buffalo. It is quite, it is getting quite, you know, dark right now, and of course it's because we are using our, you know, high-tech equipment. We are able to, you know, show you this, but it is rather dark. You know, with my bare eyes, I can only see like spots or blobs moving in the long grass. But for these great cats, their eyesight is amazing. See the intensity of look on the right one. Is it Spark? Sorry, I don't know if I got your name right. You say how fast are lions when they're chasing prey? They can do about 35 miles an hour, which is around... Spark, yeah, you ask, you know, how fast they are? They can do about 60 kilometers an hour, which is around 35-40 miles per hour, but very short bursts of up to around 100 meters. They are too heavy to continue running, you know, for further than that distance. Definitely there is a plan with these beautiful girls. You can see how spread out they are. I'm sure they have done this before, and there is a strategy that they are following that, you know, I cannot, you know, can read it, but I cannot say 100%. I know exactly what they're saying. It's quite a distance, so I'm going to try and move closer. Very soon, I'm going to, you know, have to switch on my headlights so that I don't drive into that warthog hole or aardvark hole and see what they are doing. I'm actually being very careful so that I don't get too close, and by me getting too close to them, the animals that they are going for might end up looking at me, and while they're looking at, me, they might find the lions. So I'm at quite a safe distance, and I'm avoiding being too close to them. Sorry, I didn't hear that. If you could come back again. You did say something, but I didn't hear it. It's rather very, very beautiful here. We had a few... Okay, no worries. I understand my colleagues are getting their fair share of rain down in Juma. I did have my fair share a few days ago. It was impossible to drive anywhere. It was too wet. I had all the covers in. I couldn't, give you the broadcast like we normally do. For some reason, these lionesses have decided to change the strategy and head straight towards the escarpment. The animals they were going for are off to my right, so I don't know exactly, what they have decided. Maybe they are going for a drink first because there's a little stream up there. Maybe that's what they're going for, and then they're gonna turn right. Minamu, good question. You asked me who takes the lead in a lion hunt. Sometimes, or in every pride, there is one female that is the most experienced, or two. Those ones usually take the initiative of being the lead hunters. But in this case here, Kinky Tail, who is the oldest and the mother of these 4 girls, is not here, and so the girls are all going for it. They are very experienced, and so they are actually initiating the hunt, all 4 of them. But experienced female usually, if they are available and if they're there, they usually are the ones that go first. They are right here now, off to my left, about 70 meters. Andre will share them with you. They're over here, and they have stopped slightly. Some of them have stopped. Right now we are on infrared camera. This is a very unique type of camera that allows us to follow these animals without disturbing them. You can tell yes, we will be going to infrared soon. That's it now. Now we are on IR infrared. You can see everything has changed, and now we are able to see these animals without disturbing them. Today, if they eat, it means they are going to be very comfortable in the next coming days. But the more days they spend without eating, the more desperate things become, and the more food they will need to have. So if they get something today, it will, assure them that, they are okay for another couple of days. Unlike us, lions have to make do with what is available in their territory, and pride's members choose the best place to be, and the best place to be is where there is, lots of game. These girls have got an amazing spot. We call it the Sausage Republic. It's a unique corner of the Mara Triangle where there's plenty of grass and plenty of huge game. They are definitely sharing ideas, as I can see, looking left, right. Maybe one is telling the other, maybe let's go this way. I think we might find warthog. And then the other one is saying, maybe this way. I would prefer to go for buffalo again. So I don't know what's going on in their mind. And the little guys, I don't know if they heard me talking, they looked behind. Remember, this is happening and you are on SafariLive. This is special live broadcast that's coming all the way Masai Mara in Africa. Remember to engage me on hashtag SafariLive. You can watch me or tell your friend to watch me on YouTube live stream tomorrow and the next day. Every morning and every afternoon, we are live from 2 locations. Yes, they have decided to stop there. I don't know what is the discussion. Maybe somebody is saying, you guys decide. I'm tired of deciding every day. But definitely there is something happening. The little guys have just to follow. They don't need to do much. This is, such an amazing Bob, you ask if they'll take the cubs or hide them. In this case, these cubs are big enough to be able to follow from a distance. If they are too young, by too young, I mean maybe 3 months and below, they will hide them, or one of the females will lag along behind with the cubs while the rest lead on the hunt. Yes. Okay, they have rested, so maybe it gives me a chance to, get closer to them. Remember now, it is dark, and it is such a wonderful moment for me to be able to follow these cats at this time of night. Special moment, and see what they are doing without disturbing them. Being here every day has taught me sometimes to recognize certain different types of grass. When you see them, then you know there is a hole there. When you see such different type of grass, you know there is a marsh, so you're gonna get stuck. So sometimes what is in front of me tells me exactly where to drive. I'm gonna be stopping soon so that we can we're gonna stop soon and then tell you exactly what is happening. Most successful hunts of lions actually happen at night, and I think the reason is they have good eyesight. They have very good sense of hearing, and so they are able to locate their prey without all the light that we need ourselves. I don't know if I have them still or I have lost them. Let me try and find them with my spotlight. Oh yeah, I can see them somewhere to my left over there. They are all spread out. Actually, looks like they are spread out already. Yeah, looks like they're spread out. There is one that is quite a distance away ahead of us, and then the others are to my left. Yeah. Minamu, your question broke down, but if I understand, you asked, how far they would go in search of food. Well, over here in the Mara, they can go, up to around 4 kilometers looking for food. Some areas, but it depends, where you are. If you go to drier, arid areas, like in northern part of my country, which is Kenya, then, they can walk up to 10, 15 kilometers. And then if you go south, in Botswana, in Kalahari, over there, those lions move up to around 20 to 60 kilometers in search of food. So it depends on where they are. Here in the Mara, they don't have to walk that much, around 4-5 kilometers at the most. Yeah, that is how flexible a lion is. Now you have to do lots of yoga to be able to put your leg, over your shoulders behind your head. But for a lion, it's a piece of cake. You saw that? Yeah, even at old age, they will still do it. That's a beautiful scene. It's amazing what technology, can show you. And very scary at the same time to be able to see in the dark like this. Yeah, that is a lion. It's hiding in the long grass there. This is a place where you don't want to be walking. Oh, look at those eyes. Yeah. Yeah, he's just looking at us or listening. Yeah. Sparks, you say, what should you do if you encounter a predator? First of all, I would ask you not to encounter a predator on foot. That would be the first line of defense. Please try not to. And second, if you do, don't run. Remember, they have 4 legs. You have 2. They'll always outrun you. The best thing is to try and be very calm and stop there. I know it is hard and you might be laughing and saying, how possible it is. I would say stand your ground. Then maybe after you think that things are okay, then walk backwards slowly. And once you are out of sight from that animal, then turn around and put on your Nikes and get out of there. But even if you have to, put on another set of pants, please do so, but don't run. Just stay there. That is the best I could do. I have been, in close encounters with these animals, and it has worked most of the time, and that's why I'm here to try and tell you exactly what to do. And I hope it does happen. But always, try not to put yourself in a situation like that, because things can be very different, and you don't want them to be different. And especially, if it's an old lioness, old lion, and you are the only source of food or meal, then that can be very different. Yes, these girls have decided to relax completely. They are all here in the long grass. They have decided to rest. They are all scattered in the long grass. I was hoping they were going to get close to those, buffalo and hartebeest, but not. Lions is it's an animal that has been associated with, Africa and also bravery. I don't know what this lioness has seen or heard. It is pitch dark. She just stood up and faced to our left. And I was just talking about, lions and how iconic they are to Africa and the world. Everybody who comes on safari and, comes to Africa want to see a lion. But it is my favorite animal, very dangerous. I have lots of respect to it. There is few tribes in Africa that have been associated with lions, and the ones here are Maasai. Maasai warriors in the old days were the only people that were able to go on a lion hunt. It wasn't for meat or for fun. It was, hello, yes, am I smelly? Are you trying to smell me? It was because of coming of age. There is a stage in a Maasai warrior's young man's life at the age of about 16 to around 23 when they were, taught to go, into the wild, a place like here, and come for a lion. And to kill a lion, it's not like going to the supermarket and picking a bread or a milk. This is an animal that you have to be ready to die if you decide to come for it. And they used to come and kill it using spears and their knives and their clubs. There was no automatic weapons or, like life vests, things like that. They just came with their bare hands and the spears and their knives. It was very tough because some of them lost their lives or lost their limbs. I know of a few that have lost, the use of their fingers because it bit halfway through their hands. Some of them who lost a bit of their, thighs while trying to kill it. So it is tough, and it is a honor for a Maasai warrior during those days to die in battle. While you're, killing a lion, it was a great honor, and you'd be seen as a hero. And they are the only people that I know that have existed and still exist that still go for, and will go for lion if that stage comes. Of course, it is very illegal to go lion hunting nowadays. The cultures are changing, but this is an animal that you have to have, you have to be very brave to go for. So I have lots of respect for those great warriors that went out and hunted these animals. I'm going to try and Barbara, you asked me, is it true to never make eye contact with, I don't know if it's lions or any animal. Well, I do know that with apes, if you have broken that safety distance, you should never look them in the eyes. And when I say apes, I'm talking about gorilla, bonobo, chimpanzee. I've been in contact with them, and, yes, you are challenging them if you look them in the eyes. With lions, I think it is true, don't look them in the eyes when you have broken that safety distance. They will feel challenged and they will come. And I think when you look away, they tend to think that you're being submissive, and so they will let you go. And I think it's mostly with a lot of other animals. These girls have been looking all around. I would let you, for like 20 seconds, I'll go quiet so you can hear the beautiful noises of the African night here in the Mara Triangle. Yes, that is how it is here. Very natural noises, crickets, cicadas, nightjars, some birds, wind blowing in the grass, all very natural. The only other noise is my Land Rover, which I trust that it will take me back to camp because I don't want to spend the night here. Yeah, that one is up. She's looking still. Yeah, those ears are like radars. You can see, how they move them every now and then. And they can listen to the slightest movement in the long grass and decide which direction they're gonna go without actually seeing what it is. And, I think, the noises that they hear in the long grass can tell them how big the animal is or how small it is or if it is necessary to go for. Remember, the only biggest animal the lion cannot go for over here is a fully grown elephant. Big prides of lions have been known to go even for, hippos, rhinos, young elephants. They have been known to do that. So this is a very fearless animal. I have lots and lots of respect for this animal. Yet, I can get this close. It's amazing. It is amazing. Yeah, they're all resting. Nathan, you asked me about, if there are any white lions in the Mara. The answer is definitely no. We don't have white lions in the Masai Mara. It's a breed that has been associated mainly with Southern Africa, the southern tip of Africa, that is South Africa. Over here, we don't get, white lions, but we do have other very special animals like the special black leopard that was just seen a few weeks ago. It is such an amazing find. They say, they have never seen it for 100 years. That is one that we have that I don't know if you know about it, but yeah, it's found in Kenya. But we don't have white lions here in Kenya. In this pride, when Miti gave birth to the 4 cubs, and I think I'll be able, or my friend David will be able to show you in the next coming days, in the 4 litter of cubs, they are almost about, I think, a month and a half now. In the 4 litter of cubs, there is one that is very pale. It's not white, but it's much paler than the others. I have seen, paler lions, but we don't get the white lion that is found, in Southern Africa, here in Kenya. We only have the normal African lion. Once more, they are on the move, but that is a cub, one of the older cubs. That is Limpy's cub. Limpy has got, 2 cubs, and then the other female that doesn't have a name has got 1. And she's like going from one female to the other. I think she's saying, when are we gonna have some meat? I'm tired of milk. They know that, they need to eat, because if the females don't eat, it means no milk for them also. So I'm sure inside they are saying, oh, I hope, we're going to get a meal before morning. And I am thinking, even if they don't make it this evening, by tomorrow morning they would have made a kill. Self-made, you ask me, do I think they'll definitely hunt? Yes, they will hunt. It's only that, SafariLive ends in like 20 minutes from now, or half an hour. If we were allowed, we would follow them, and I'm sure they will hunt. The movement they're making, they are making it because they want to find something to eat. So they will hunt. Yes, that licking and licking is a special bonding. It's some love from mother to cub. They do have a tender side, lions, although they're very tough and dangerous and aggressive, and especially when they're eating and when there's less food. But when there is no food, then they're actually very friendly, as you can see here. They are very, very friendly, giving each other some kisses. Yeah. Yes, I'm going to try and move forward slightly because there's too much grass. Hopefully everything will be okay. I don't drive into a hole. It's going to be a little bit of an adventure getting out of here to the main road. Start getting home. I don't know. Let's see if we can see them now. They're somewhere to my left, somewhere there. Can't see nothing. It's so dark. Oh, there's another one coming. Is that fully grown? Yes, it is. Yeah. every now and then when they stop, they are listening. And these are signs of a stalker and a hunter over here. Ears are very essential in listening. So that's sometimes the only way to detect prey. So they have to stop and listen. They might not be able to see, but they can hear. Okay, looks like there was nothing very interesting. So she has decided to go down, wait it out. There's another female who's there. They will do this for a bit of time, and then eventually one will decide to break out, and she will be the lead hunter and go out and find whatever is available. It doesn't mean that if a warthog or a scrub hare comes by, they'll let it go. They'll go for anything, as long as it's meat, they will go for anything, but they would prefer to go for something much, much bigger. I don't know if that one is the initiator, because she has broken out completely. Oh, there's another one there. Yeah. Oh, actually another one was following. Oh, all of them have gotten up and they are going. Yeah, they are on the move again. It is always very tricky for me to follow these animals, because I don't want to interfere at all, because I don't want to be the one causing them to starve, because if they get detected and it's because of me, they might end up spending another night without eating. So I have to be very, very careful, especially in this case where I know for sure they are going for something, to keep that distance, and so that they don't get seen or detected because of me. You can tell that their tummies are not that full. They could look quite lean, but very, very strong. Yeah, I don't want to be the one on the receiving end of these guys, tonight, because for sure some blood will be shed. Yeah. Every now and then when they stop and listen and look one side, it means they have detected something. Oh, you see the cubs are in the long grass. I couldn't see them. That's how the grass, how high the grass is. I thought they were still with us here, but they are following not very far. This is going to get very interesting, because now they are not very far from the buffaloes. Maybe another 100 meters, they'll be there. Is that Roslyn or Reverend? You're asking me if there are any buffalo around this area? Yes, there are. And actually the direction they're headed, there is a big herd of bull buffalo, the bachelor herds. There is a big herd, and that's where they're headed. So of course there is buffalo. A good territory, or a good lion territory, always has to have some big game, because in lean times they provide food for these lions. And big game, I mean hippo and buffalo. These are animals that sometimes don't need to move very much. All they need is water, wood cover, and plenty of grass, which is available here, and they'll stick there. They don't need to move quite much. And these girls actually chose a very good territory, because unlike other territories where all the game move, including buffalo, and then you find those pride of lions going into villages, going to other pride territories and causing conflicts. Over here there is no conflicts. For them, they can survive with whatever is around. I don't know how far they've gone. I'm going to stop again and let's try and find them without using the headlights or the spotlight. Let's see if we can find them. They were to our left somewhere there. I don't know if they're still moving or they've lied down. So let's see. I don't see anything. Yeah, we are looking everywhere. Hopefully they're somewhere in the long grass. Remember, this grass has grown quite a lot, and it is very high. Yeah, are they somewhere here? Maybe. I don't see them anywhere. Did we lose them? It can be very tricky. If they lie down or if they move too far, we might end up losing them. So I don't know if we lost them or if they lie down. It's very hard to say. There's something way up there. I don't know what it is. Which direction are we? We're in front. Yeah. I don't know how far they are. Can you see them? Yeah. Okay, let's move on a little bit more. Dobby, you asked me if I've ever seen some prey animals walk into lions. Yes, I have. And it was very funny. I felt very sorry for the toppy. He just ran into lions that were lying down. And you can imagine what happened. There were quite a good number of them. There were about 15. There was nothing in like 2 seconds. All I could see was blood and intestines flying everywhere. Yes, they do that in the long grass. When they lie flat on their bellies, sometimes it's very hard, even for an animal with very good eyesight. It's very hard even to detect them. So it does happen over here. You have to be very, very careful. And that's why I think we are meant to come here with a spotlight and a vehicle, not on foot. This is how quickly you can lose them. I'm sure they are laughing and doing Okay. While I look for my elusive lions that I've decided to hide, let me take you to James, who has gotten over the rain.
Well, we're not quite out of the rain, but we seem to be out of the lightning, which is good. And after Isaac's marathon 45-minute set, I think it's, well, incumbent on us to do something useful for the drive. We sat at the hyena den for a while, and then it really started bucketing down and eventually started lightning. And so we put everything shut and sat there like, well, two sort of steaming vegetables, if you like. It became quite steamy in here in our little tent. Anyway, we've got the tent open. The lightning seemed to have passed overhead. It is still raining a little bit, but it's not too bad. We'll see if we can find you one or two things in the last few minutes of the drive while Isaac nobly continues to find the sausages. They are, of course, heading for the long rains now in the Marsi Mara, where little storms like we've experienced now will seem like very insignificant childish attempts by nature. A little bit of lightning there. I don't think there's any coming towards us, which is good. Doesn't want that. We were chatting about rubber tyres earlier and how many of us think that they insulate. I certainly did until very recently. I thought they'd insulate you from being struck by lightning, but of course they contain steel belts. Now, I'm not sure if that makes a difference to whether or not you can be struck by lightning in a vehicle, but it certainly made us all feel rather uneasy. Frogs are out. They're all calling. I don't know where that lion went. Ah, how wonderful. The Vov is back up and running, and well, he's certainly had more success than I have.
Welcome back, everyone. We have survived the thunder and lightning, and the rain is still pitter-pattering down, and you can see the long tail of a leopard in the tree. Mrs. Tlalamba, while we were rushing back to get our roof on, killed a duiker. And, well, we've been sitting and waiting for the lightning to disappear so that we could show you these scenes. Oh, she's dropping it. Oh, she dropped it. She just dropped it out of the tree. I think we must go and have a look. We are having real difficulty trying to get it in frame because we've got a roof on the top of us here. It's very, very dark, I'm afraid. Very, very dark. She's going up again. Oh, my word. The only place to get her because of our roof was where we were parked. Now, hopefully, there's actually no way, Lou, of us making it any brighter because the IR doesn't reach that far. We could make a spotlight on for a moment when she's up there, just to show everybody the color. She's up the tree. There we go. She's just jumped up there again. Sorry about the movement. There she is in the tree. There she is. There's no chance of any predators or anyone coming to mess with her now. So just a quick little flash of her in the tree. Isn't that special? The young leopardess Tandi has caught, leopardess Tlalamba has caught herself some dinner. What an amazing young lady she is. Unfortunately, we missed the action. But the marula tree, you can imagine, is extremely slippery after the rain we've had. And, well, she positioned it up in the fork of the tree, and then she kind of slipped down, and then she went back up, as you saw when you came to us, and then the deka fell down. So very slippery and very hard for her. Yes, 100% was Tlalamba. The Rexon stayed with Tlalamba while we went back to get our roof, and they videoed the whole thing on their little camera. So yes, indeed, Rexon assures me it was her. There's no Tandi in the scene, and when we got here, she was still holding the deka around the throat. So she is learning. It's amazing the instinct that these animals have, and now she's going to try and hold it there. And she was obviously, as she caught it, then the huge thunderstorm came down, and she was just hiding underneath a bush behind us here for a long time as we were trying to avoid the rain, and then I couldn't believe that we managed to find her again. But a beautiful silhouette of the young Tlalamba. I'm afraid that's as good as the light is going to be, folks. I do apologize, but that is the way it works. Okay, well, as you saw the lightning in the background there, we need to just make sure that we remain safe. And in the meantime, let's go up to Isaac with the sausages, and hopefully they manage to catch themselves some dinner.
Yiffy, we found them once again. It took the intervention of me and Andre and his night vision camera to spot these girls. They are still very busy, and now it looks like they are in business. Something has to give, and this is the body language I can read from these girls. Walking, stopping, listening. It is not going to the salon or supermarket. They are going for a meal, and I don't know exactly who it's gonna be. The cubs are somewhere in the long grass. We can't see them because of the long grass. It is a huge advantage, the long grass to these females, because also, the animals can see, and especially if the grass is too short. So for them, it's a huge advantage to walk in the long grass like this. They are able to stalk, move closer, and try and find whatever they are gonna go for. Looks like there is something in that direction. Yes, definitely there is something. You can see the little ones, they are appearing. Yes, over there. Yeah, that's how high the grass is. They can disappear completely in the long grass. You don't even know if they're there. Yeah, you can tell these girls, they are not worried. They know that they will get something. I have seen lions that are much more desperate than these ones. Even the little guys are just resting there in the termite mounds. Yeah. Knowing that a meal will be made later on tonight. Yeah. Very focused, the girls. they are headed out. Yeah, see, they're listening. Something is in that direction for sure. I don't know what it is. Maybe they were the buffalo we could see earlier. Yes, you can tell. There is something. Well, you know, it is always very sad to say goodbye when something like this is happening. But on behalf of my cameraman, you know, Andre, my fellow colleagues in Juma, everybody else, I wish you a very good evening. From me, Isaac, bye-bye, and see you tomorrow morning.